Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this sort of cottage kitchen style sink unit. It's 3 opening drawers and a sort of little curtain here under the sink. Got a brass mixer tap here. And the sink measures 3 inches high, that's 76mm, by 3.5 inches wide, 88mm, and 2 inches deep, and that's 50mm deep. This is quite a long project. There's quite a few steps to it, so I've divided it into 2 videos, and you'll just see the other one on my YouTube channel under part 2. Please subscribe to my channel because I will be adding lots more tutorials soon, and I love to hear your comments as well. For this project I've used a wood called a beche, which is a soft wood, and I've used the beche sheet and strip as well for the legs. So to make the sink you're going to need craft knife, such as this Swan Morton one, which takes 10A blades. Always put a new blade in at the start of a project. You'll probably get through a couple of blades in this one project. Steel ruler for measuring and also cutting the wood along with the craft knife. 2 different types of sandpaper, a medium grain sandpaper, that's 120 grade, and a fine grain, which is a 500 grade. That's a sanding disc, which is quite useful. A mitre block and saw for cutting the strip wood. It's 5mm thick, so you won't be able to get through that with a craft knife, so just use a mitre block and saw. Pencil, obviously for marking out the wood. Keep it nice and sharp, makes the marking more accurate. Cocktail stick, which you'll need for the curtain rail, and obviously I use a cocktail stick, although a sort of cheaper variety, for applying glue and removing excess glue from the joins. Piece of card to dispense the glue onto, just makes it easier to apply. 3 types of glue, so wood glue obviously for putting the unit together. This Gorilla Glue is really strong and it bonds really quickly. Fabric glue when we get on to making the curtain, and a super glue which is needed for attaching the mixer tap. The mixer tap, it's called a brass mixer tap or faucet. You should be able to get these from most doll's house accessory stores or online stores, and I'll soon have these available in my Etsy store, so I'll put a link to my store below. And then a varnish for the top, varnish or wood stain, and then 2 different paints. So I've used a darker cream for the actual unit, and then an antique white or an ivory for the sink. You don't want a bright white, meant to look like a sort of stone or enamel sink, so use a just sort of off-white colour. And these are just the emulsion paints that you can buy from any sort of DIY store. And then for the drawer knobs I've used a 3mm diameter wooden knob, which again you can buy from my Etsy store. You can see that there. They normally come in packs of 12. For making the holes in the sink for the overflow and for the plug hole, you'll need either like a mini drill like this one, this little pin drill with a 1mm bit, and I've also just used this smaller hand drill with a 0.75mm bit to make the overflow holes. And finally a nice piece of fabric for the curtain. I've just used a cotton fabric. Try and find something that's quite light and has a nice small pattern on it. So on the cutting list you'll see that I've put an asterisk next to a few of the measurements, and I've made a note to cut the longest edge against the grain, and I just want to explain what I mean there. So as a general rule, you'll always cut the piece so that the longest edge is in the same direction as the grain of the wood, and that way you've got a nice neat edge along the longest edge, which is usually the front. So like this, for example, which is the bottom of the piece, this edge here that goes with the grain will be the exposed edge, so we'll see that at the front of the unit. With the draw divide and the shelf, I've put to cut the piece so that the longest edge is against the grain, and that's because this shortest edge will be the piece that we see at the front of the unit. And I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but the longest edge, which is against the grain, you can kind of see the grain of the wood in there, and it's not very neat. But when you cut with the grain, you get a nice neat edge, and it also paints and varnishes better as well. So I've just advised to do that on a couple of the pieces there, and I just wanted to explain why. So once all of your pieces are cut, you just want to very gently sand the edges of each piece. And to do this, just sweep it across the sandpaper in one direction. Try not to rock it back and forth or you'll round the edges. You want to keep it nice and square. And then we're going to begin by attaching the mouldings. So I've just dispensed some glue here onto a piece of card, and I'm going to use a cocktail stick to apply the glue. I'm just apply the glue to the back of the piece. And then lay it across the top of the side piece so that the top of each piece is flush. And I'm just going to use another cocktail stick here to remove the excess glue from along that join. And then attach the bottom piece. When you're attaching mouldings to wood, as the glue dries they do tend to curl upwards, so to stop that from happening you just need to apply some clamps, or in this case clothes pegs. And just attach that to the corners of each piece. Like so. And that can be put to one side to dry. So once you've attached the mouldings to the top and bottom of each side piece and secured those with clamps or clothes pegs, just put those to one side to dry. And we're going to attach the mouldings to the back piece now, and with this one we have an extra moulding down the centre of the piece. So I'm going to begin by drawing a line down the short edge of the piece, 36.5mm from this left hand edge, and that's slightly off centre as we're going to place the central moulding just alongside it. So 36.5mm. Making a pencil mark there at the top and bottom of the piece, and then just join those with a faint line like that, and then attach the top moulding so that it's flush with the top of the piece. I'll use your other cocktail stick to remove any excess glue. And then we're going to attach the central moulding so it sits just to the right of that line we've just drawn. remove the excess glue. And then we can just attach the remaining moulding along the bottom of the piece. Remove the excess glue, and again just secure those with clamps or clothes pegs, and put one in the middle as well to hold that piece in place. And again, that can just be left for the glue to dry. So once the glue has had time to set, you can just remove those pegs, and then just to make sure that the mouldings are flush with the side of the piece we've glued them to, you can just sand going in one direction along the sandpaper, and do that on each edge. And then we're going to attach the legs. Just put the back piece to one side for the moment. Now I've just dispensed some glue here onto a piece of card, and I'm going to apply it with a cocktail stick to each edge of the side pieces. Like that, and then place the piece down on your worktop, and then just press a leg against each side so that the top of each piece is flush, and just press those together, keeping the whole piece flat against the work surface. And then you can just use a spare cocktail stick just to remove the glue from along those joins. Like that. If your piece starts sticking to your worktop, just sort of gently slide it along rather than trying to pick it up, as it will just come apart. Let's put that to one side to dry. Let's do the other side. Press those together. Okay, and then just put that to one side to dry. And then on the back piece, turn it over so it's sort of mouldings side down. And we want to begin by making a line 21mm from the top, the widest edge. So I'll just make a pencil mark at either side of the piece, 21mm. And then just join those up with a faint line. And then we want to make a piece, make a line 34.5mm from the side, so the shorter edge. So that's 34.5mm. Just make a pencil mark at the top and the bottom of the piece. And join that up. And now for our central drawer divide here, we want to make another pencil line 42.5mm from the top edge, and only in this section, because that's where the drawer will be going. This will be the curtain area. I'm going to make a mark 42.5mm from that top edge. Oops, there. In the middle, and join those up. So we've got lines in place for when we come to fit in the shelves. We're going to begin construction of the piece, and first of all we're just going to make some more pencil marks on the side pieces, which will help when we're attaching the shelves. So we're going to start by making a pencil line 21mm from the top edge across each side piece. So the top edge is obviously the flat edge here. And just make a pencil mark there, 21mm. And on that side, and just join the lines. Just place the ruler just below the pencil marks to account for the thickness of the pencil nib. Just join those up, and the same on this piece. So again, 21mm from the top, and then join those up. And then on this piece, which will become our left-hand side piece, we want to make another pencil line which is 42.5mm from the top edge. So 42.5, and this is where our short shelf will go. And join those up. Okay, so we're going to begin by attaching the back piece to the side piece, and we want to attach it so it sits at the front of this back leg, so that the back piece is sort of almost touching this side piece. I'm just going to apply glue to the edge of the back piece. And it's sitting right at the front of that back leg. Just press that into place. Let's use another cocktail stick to remove the excess glue from the join. And from the back as well. And then if I can, I'll just show you what I mean by the join there. And you can see that the back piece is just sitting at the front edge of the leg, so that there's quite a bit of leg protruding there at the back. Like that. Okay, just put that to one side. Next we're going to attach the long shelf, and first we're going to make a pencil mark 34.5mm from this left hand short edge. So again, make a pencil mark at the top and the bottom of the piece, 34.5 millimeters, and then join that up. And then I'm just going to continue that line onto the front edge of the piece, and that helps when we're putting the drawer divide into place. So I've just made the pencil mark on the front edge, and then we want to attach this so that the pencil line is towards the top of the unit. So apply the glue to one short edge and one long edge. And then we want to place it so it sits just below that pencil line that we made 21 millimeters from the top on the side and the back piece. So it needs to sit just below that. Place that there like that, and then you can just push the back piece towards it, which will square it up. Like that. And you should just be able to see the pencil line there, just visible above the piece. And just hold that in place, and then again, oops, use the cocktail stick to remove the excess glue there. Okay. Now we're going to put the short shelf into position, and that should be just below this second pencil line that we made on the side and the back. So apply glue to one long edge and one short edge. And then we want that to sit below that pencil line. Just press that into place. Next we're going to attach the central divide, and that will go down here. So you also need to apply glue to the edge of this short shelf. Like that. And then we're going to attach that into place so that it sits just to the left of this pencil line on the back, or underneath it at this angle. And using this pencil mark on the top, and it should be sitting just to the left of that little pencil mark as well. Just press that into place. And then just lay the piece onto the back there, and we just want to make sure that this shelf is the same depth here as it is here. So just use your ruler, and that is 19.5 millimeters and 19.5 that side, so that's fine. You can then use the cocktail stick to remove the glue. And now we're going to attach the drawer divide. I'll turn the piece over just to show that better. And that's also going to sit on this side of the line so that it's level with that central divide we just put in place. Oops. So you're using the line on the back piece here and this line that we made on the front of the long shelf, just to make sure that that's level. And you can look from the front and just make sure that it's in line with this central divide. If not, just move that over a little bit. And then another check I do is just to make sure that this gap here is the same as the gap at the front. So again, just measure. I just need to go over a tiny bit at the back. Yep, so that's now in line. You can remove the excess glue. And now we want to attach the bottom piece, and that will sit on the inside of the joined pieces, like so. So again, apply glue to the bottom of this central divide. A bit much there. And then to a long edge and a short edge of the bottom piece. Then you want that to be flush with the bottom, and then just push that side over to keep it square. And you're at the same time you're sort of pushing against that central divide as well. Just hold that into place while the glue begins to take. And then again you can check that this space is the same. So just measure one side of the opening and the other side, and that's 19.5, so that's correct. And then just hold that together. Now we're going to attach the final side piece, so you can apply glue to those edges of the unit. And then lay the side piece on top so that, again, the back piece is at the front edge of that back leg. And then you need to make sure that this long shelf and the bottom piece are flush with the front of the leg, and also that the bottom piece is in line with the bottom of the side piece. And then the final check is that this long shelf is sitting just below that pencil line on the side piece. Press the whole thing together. And just holding it together, you can remove the excess glue. Helps if you've got big hands like I have at this stage. From the back there as well. And then just lay that down, and I'm going to use masking tape now to hold it all together while the glue sets. Piece around there, pull it quite tight. Another piece across that front. So that's the main body of the piece constructed, and you can just put that to one side whilst the glue dries.